Why do I feel like I'm the villain in this scenario? Why the fuck? Ludo! Lingo! Welcome to Ludolingo, episode 8. We gotta talk about this. What is going on? Why do we keep having these conversations? I feel like everything is coming to a peak with Concord for some reason. Yes, I'm bringing that game up again because it is the reason that this topic is so on my mind right now. A multiplayer game gets revealed. It surfaces that the game is not free. And all of a sudden, everyone's freaking out, saying the game has no chance of being successful. They should have made it free. It's definitely not worth money. Look at its competitors. They're free, therefore this game must be free. It can't compete. Just because other games are desperate for attention and therefore make themselves free to try to just grasp people in any way that they can, doesn't mean that every game has to do that. To me, asking money for your game is a show of confidence. I want to pay for a game to be able to play it. Games have value. If you're saying that the game has to be free for you to even be willing to go near it, you're basically saying video games have no value to you, so you don't like video games? You don't care about the longevity of the industry or of the specific developer that you're playing the game of? That doesn't matter. There's so many perspectives to take here, and I don't really know how to get into all of them. I'm going to be all over the place. I'm probably going to forget to say multiple things, but I just really want to start talking about all of these different thoughts that I have. Apologies if this is all over the place. I'd like to state, in case somebody tries to use this against me and claim that I'm being hypocritical, I have recently played the finals for maybe a week or so, and then I also played XDefiant for about a week or so. Those are both free-to-play games. And honestly, it kind of annoyed me that they were. That was a reason that I didn't want to get into them necessarily, but just looking at them, I was like, this is kind of interesting. And now I get that this is why people say that free-to-play is necessary to grab somebody like me who's maybe vaguely interested to try to get me into the game to spend money on it. I get that. That hasn't always been the case. It's more of a recent phenomenon. And I don't think that it always has to be the case. There's plenty of spectrum to explore in terms of game cost. I would have much rather paid $20 or $30 to play the finals. XDefiant, maybe not so much. What usually ends up happening in games like this is that I try it out, and then I'm like, oh, you know what, I kind of actually like this. I do want to spend some money, and then I spend money on a battle pass or whatever, and then I'm like, I don't even want what this is giving me. I just want to have spent money on this because I think that they deserve some money for the thing that I'm playing. I shouldn't just be playing this for free. That doesn't make any sense. That's not how the world works. It's just so weird to me because everyone that's complaining that games need to be free to be worth checking out, I guess, is the argument, is that you're just completely devaluing it. You realize that if you play a free-to-play game and then never spend money on it, you're not contributing to this game's success. And I know, again, people are going to counterpoint me being like, well, people measure success by time of the amount of engagement that you've spent with it. And I'm like, no, that's really not a valid number. That doesn't matter. What matters is the money. The only reason that the game is allowed to be free is because there's people that spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on them. I'm sorry to tell you, the only reason that you're able to play these free games is because somebody else is exponentially covering the cost of the game for you. And to me, that's just a completely ridiculous and unfair setup just across the board. It doesn't make any sense. And everyone just completely championing this and trying to push more and more games into this. Sorry, my dog's rolling around if you heard growling. I don't know. I feel like this is a circular conversation. I'm probably not even making the point I want to make right now, but I just feel like I need to say something. It feels weird to me that there's people that have been playing video games for probably 5 years now and have possibly spent $0 on them, therefore not contributing to the industry that they apparently love whatsoever, and then going out of their way to point at other games that are asking for money, which they should be, and trying to bury and belittle them for it, as if it's a bad thing. Also, why do people love to imply that a game has to last forever to justify its existence? If I go into wanting to play Concord and I want to play it for a month, what's wrong with that? That could totally be worth my money. Multiplayer games have always worked like this up until very recently. Now that games like Fortnite, Apex, Rocket League, whatever, exist, people all of a sudden have expectations that these games need to be played for a decade? No. I don't want to play this game for a decade. There's no shot that I'm going to play this game for a decade, and that's totally fine. Why would I expect that? That's insane. I like moving from game to game and getting different experiences, and I think that the developers of this game realize, especially because it's now under PlayStation, that people like that. If I get into Concord and I end up playing it for 6 months, if I end up playing it for a year, 2 years, even if I end up playing it only for a couple weeks, if I enjoyed my time over those couple weeks and I feel like it was money well spent, then it was money well spent. Also, on the other side of it, the game can be considered successful just by selling to however many people it sells to. It doesn't have to justify its existence by lasting for 5 years because it's not free. This could be the case for other games, but since this game isn't going that route, it's actually a good thing. Everybody's just presuming to know the sales and reach required for this game to be considered a success at PlayStation or at Firewalk. We don't know that. Slinging the term live service at it negatively and then creating expectations based on that compared to other games is just not fair. I wish people would stop doing this. Concord can release, spread via good word of mouth to whatever amount of players that it goes to, and from there we'll see if the game ends up being successful or not. The reason that I know this is a problem is because of Helldivers 2 coming out, and it was a paid game. It sold like 15 million copies, but now, because the numbers are a lot lower than they were before, people are like, wow, look at these guys, they're failing, this game sucks now, huh? Dude, it already sold so much. What are you talking about? It was successful. Just because it isn't, I guess, successful in your eyes right now doesn't mean that it wasn't. This is not how anything works. Concurrent players are not the only measure of how successful a game is. Not every game that is multiplayer and is a shooter that comes out is actively trying to dethrone Fortnite. And I don't understand why people come to attack games that aren't trying to do that for not accomplishing that. Maybe that's not their goal. Not everybody's trying to do that. That's not the only goal of the industry, is to take down Fortnite and Call of Duty. Maybe the goal is just to exist and be a game that people enjoy. Why is that illegal? Everyone's taking their shots at this being like, oh, they think they're going to be the next hot thing and going to be on top and take down all these games. Not a chance. What if they're not trying to do that? What if they just want to be a cool new game? I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth, but there's just assumptions flying left and right, and it's just... Bleh. Stop it. This is a little bit of a topic change, even though it's very related. Why are people so obsessed with cosmetics and skins? Why does this matter so much? Why is this the only thing that people deem as valuable anymore in video games? Games should be free. The game itself, not valuable. I should not pay for it. But changing the coat color of my character, very valuable. I will spend $5 to $25 on that. Don't even ask questions about it. That's valuable. The game itself, garbage, worth $0. It's just I feel like I'm living in a simulation of just complete lunacy. What is happening? What's valuable to me is buying Mario Kart at full price because it's a fantastic game, and then them charging $20 for the same amount of tracks again over time and adding new characters. That's great. Heck, well, of course I'm gonna buy that. That's awesome. You're keeping the game updated with meaningful things such as tracks and some new characters, and the game is just great overall, so of course I want to pay for it. I don't understand why people want the meaningful things to be free and the meaningless things to cost money. That's backwards to me. I know, again, part of the argument here is that people are going to be like, well, if characters and or maps or whatever cost money, then you're prohibiting certain people from having them. So that either splits up the community if they don't have access to levels or tracks or maps or whatever it is, depending on what the type of game is, or you're making the game pay to win now because you're introducing new elements to the game and they might be better than the things that you already have. Therefore, it's inherently pay to win. Again, that's not necessarily true. All that needs to be done in that case is that the things need to be balanced before they're injected into the game. And if they're not, then you patch it and you fix it. New things being added to the game should not inherently be better. If they are, that's a fault of the developer, and I would fault them for that. That's a problem. But that's not just inherently true. People are going to try to make it inherently true because no matter what, in scenarios like that, people are going to be like, oh, the DLC is better. Ugh. Even if it's not, that's going to happen. I know how people are. They want to justify their own opinions, so they're going to find whatever it is that they can to make that true. And again, I know there's definitely cases where it is true. But again, with everything that I talk about on this channel, there's nuance, but people just ignore that. I knew making this video was going to get me all flustered because I've had conversations like this so many times, and every time the conversation goes nowhere because people will not consider what I'm saying and completely write off everything I'm saying and are like, well, no, it should be free, and give no good explanation. The only good explanation that I hear from people is that because people have been programmed to want things for free, they expect things to be free, so they're not going to give things a chance if they're not. And this is something that I've seen coming for like a decade now, as have many others. It started with mobile games, and for some reason we let this infect the console and PC space, and it's stupid. In 13 minutes, the open beta, the second weekend of Concord, is going to start, and I'm going to stream it and play it and try it out some more because it's fun and it's worth playing, or at the very least, trying it out. I'm not saying you should and have to go buy it, obviously, but it does deserve some attention. There's really cool stuff in there. There's probably things that I think that I totally forgot to say in this video. I guarantee it. Feel free to leave any counterpoints in the comment section, as long as you're being respectful, of course. I'm willing to hear people out with maybe some better arguments, but I've just heard so many of them over the years that it's really gotten tiring, and it's always the same few points. Anyways, feel free to follow me over on Twitch. Feel free to follow me on Backlogged. Feel free to check out my Patreon, and thank you to those who already support me on Patreon. We got Hooky, Mex, Scion, and Kinoth, and I will see you next week.